Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of the 3D letter tutorial. In this one we're going to be actually making and putting together the file. So let's jump straight on in and get started. If you haven't watched the first part, I will link it above and below in the description for you so you can catch up before you watch this one. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy. Alright then, everything is cut out now and we're ready to start assembly. When I cut out my big K to start with, this is the one that had the little triangle and the circle on it. So what I did was just draw on the inside with a pencil which one was next to where, because when I took it off the mat, obviously those little bits were floating around at the top and the bottom here and they didn't actually come off where I wanted them to. So I've just drawn that on for my own reference. Then I've got all my other bits and pieces. I've got some basic tools here as well. So I've just got the True Control set. So I've got the weeding tool on there at the moment. I'll probably switch that over to the knife in a second. So I've got that. I've got my little pick-me-up tool. This is my favourite thing in the whole world. It's so easy to use and it's got this little sticky thing on the end, and then it's got these two tools in the top of it as well, which also helps with placement. So that is brilliant for when you're doing fiddly little bits. I've got some Collal glue in a little precision bottle. Then I've got these foam pads. These are about 3mm ones. I think these might be Hobbycrafts ones, but I'm not entirely sure. And then I've got my scissors as well. So to start off with, all I've done is just grouped each section of item into its own little group on my desk so that I don't lose any pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead first of all and start putting together the actual letters. So I'm just going to move all of the extras out of the way and I'm going to start off with my pieces here. So what you'll want to do is just familiarise yourself with each of the pieces, and then we've got the sections here. So what I'm going to do is turn that over backwards and I'm going to start off with these pieces that have got the marks on them. So let's just move the other three out of the way. So the first thing that I like to do is just make sure I know which way around this is going. So obviously the long edge here is going to go down here. That one is there, I think, and then that one comes round at the bottom here. So that's going to work. What I'm going to do is just put some glue on here. Now you can use whatever glue you like. This is my favourite one and it goes tacky pretty quickly, which is why I'm using it for here. It doesn't show through your cardstock either, so there won't be any warping of the card with this glue. So I'm just going to put that on there. I'm going to leave it for a couple of seconds just to go tacky, and then once that's done we're going to stick it all together. Okay, so that should be okay now. I'm going to just line up my pieces. So I'm going to start off at the bottom and just put that onto there, and then that one will go down next, and then the top. You are going to want to press that down with your fingers quite firmly. Hold it in place for now, and then once it's tacked on you can lift it up. And what I like about using a wet glue is that you can slide that in a little bit and make sure that it fits absolutely perfectly onto there, so you've got a really nice crisp 90-degree angle there. If you've got a little gap at the bottom like I do, you can just slide that glue up. So that is now meeting that absolutely perfectly. Let's do the same with this piece that has the square on it. So let's find that. Here's the square. So that is going to go on that section there. Let's bend that round. This one's a little bit more complicated because it has 4 different sides to stick down. So we're going to just double check we've got that correct. And then that is going to come up that way, like so. So what we want to do is put the glue on all 4 sides now, and again let it go tacky. Some people do use hot glue for this, but I wouldn't recommend doing that as a beginner because it's quite difficult to use and manoeuvre. Okay, then so now we're ready to pop this piece on. All I've done is just folded it round into the shape that it's going to be when it goes onto here, and what you'll want to do is just try and get that as close to perfect on there as you can. Now with this top corner here that we've got on there, we do have another tab inside that we need to glue on. So all I'm going to do now is just put a little bit of glue inside there. Let's let that again go a little bit tacky whilst we're just making any adjustments to the rest of the corners there. As you can see, that looks really perfect along those lines. Then we're going to just pop that tab onto the top there and press that from the inside just there. Okay, so that is now done. Let's do the bottom one in the same way. This is probably the hardest one to do as well, so just keep referring back to your front to make sure that you're happy with how that's sitting, and that looks perfect to me. Next we need to put the back on, so what we're going to do is just make sure that's stuck onto there well. First of all, I just wanted to make sure that that was stuck in there really well, because that is the inside piece there holding all of that together. Now one thing that you can do if you wanted to is to make this a little bit more sturdy for when it stands up, is to just glue a couple of little glass beads into the bottom of your letters if you wanted to. Let's just place that flat on the desk now, and then I'm just going to put the glue all the way around here. Once all that's on there, you can put your backing piece of card down, and you just again want to make sure that that is all square and you're happy with that before you press it down and let it dry. And then what I normally do with this piece is just sit sort of here for a few minutes and just hold that down until that glue has totally dried and gone off, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. So there you go, there is your letter complete. It's absolutely perfectly stuck together and it looks great. So now what you want to do is put all of your special embellishments on that you've chosen. So this has still got a little bit of masking tape on it because my mat wasn't very sticky, so I just stuck it down with some tape. Let's just get that off there. So I've got 3 layers to go on the front here. The first one I'm just going to stick down. The next 2 I'm going to probably use some foam pads for. But this is the fun part now, because you can decorate your letter however you like, depending on what the person likes that you're making it for. So as I said, my nephew is a lifeguard, so I've done all mine sort of beachy themed. But you could do it whatever you wanted. Then I've got this nice glittery blue layer, which I think I'm going to use some 3D foam pads on, just to give my design a little bit more dimension. As you can see, I'm not one to skimp on the foam pads. I do like to make sure I've got quite a lot on there. I'm just going to place this now onto here, and because it's an offset, don't forget I've got that little space all around the outside of this piece. So that just gives it a little bit more dimension and makes it look a little bit more interesting. Then I've got this one here. I think I might just glue this one down. We don't want to go overboard, but what I'm going to do is use the 3D foamies on the other bits as well that I've got to go on here. So that just goes on here now. There we go, that looks fabulous. I love the way that looks. Let's just move my scissors out of the way because I don't think I'm actually going to need them. Then I've got this little umbrella. So I'm going to glue this onto here. So I've just pulled my design up on the screen just so that I can see roughly the placement of each item. So now I can refer to that whilst I'm working. So I'm just going to pop that one on the top. Again, I'm going to use a foamy. I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put a couple in just in the centre. What I'm going to do, I'm going to double up on them to give it even more depth. So that's going to be sticking up really quite high off the back of that K. So let's just put that on. Could put another one on there, I think, just to be sure that isn't going to go anywhere. So I'm just going to take that off, just put that onto there. That is the beauty of these. You can always pull them off and then just pop them back down if you need to. That just gives that really nice depth. Look at that, that's so cool. Okay, next is the sun. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated to put together because it's all tiny pieces. So I'm going to start off with this centre piece of the sun. And then I'm just going to pop that on there. This is where my little pickup tool is going to come in really handy because I'm going to need to use it to place all these items. So what I'm going to do is just pop a tiny blob of glue on those little pieces there. This is just going to allow me to see where they're going, and then all I'm going to do is just use my pickup tool to just pop these on here. And I've gone a bit mad with the glue there, but it doesn't matter all that much. A couple of these have got a little folded bit on them. There we go. Let's just do the last 4 pieces. Great thing actually about this pickup tool is if you don't want to use your finger, you can use this tool that comes inside of it. So you've got a spiky end and then this flattened end here, so you can use that if you want to place that down with, which does definitely help. Alright, so that is done. Let's pop that on next. Where is that going? It is going here, roughly. I'm going to just use a single layer of sticky pads now on this one. What we just need to do is just double check our placement for those. So I'm going to just go straight in the centre with 2 or 3 of them. So just here. 2 should be okay. Take those backs off. Pop that onto there. I love making these. They're so nice for people's birthdays because they just make such a personal gift really, and I just love that. This next bit then is also quite complicated. So this is the happy birthday in the middle, and I've done 2 little offsets. I missed a little tiny little piece there that I should have contoured away, but for some reason I didn't notice it. I'm going to actually have a look at that offset in a second and see if it's actually there or whether the Cricut's had a bit of a freak out. So this then is the happy birthday, and as it's quite thin, it's a really lovely cut though. Look at that, how perfect that's come out. This font is called the Container Store font. It is a Cricut Design Space font, but I love this one. I'm going to glue it down onto there. So I'm just going to very, very carefully, let's just get the centre of that, let's just weed that away. Move that little piece off there. What I will do is get this on here with the glue. You don't want to go mad because you don't want it to spill out. But another good thing about this collal glue is that when it does dry, it is very clear. So I'm going to use a pair of tweezers to do this part rather than my pick-me-up. Let's just put that on as close to perfectly as we can and just press that down. I'm not going to go mad because we don't want to squeeze any glue out. Let's just press it down. And we've got our H. Oh no, we've got a B. I'm doing birthday, aren't I? Not happy. Losing my plot. Okay, there's the B. Again, using the tweezers just to make it a little bit easier and probably easier for you guys to see as well. Just pop that onto there. Now this tiny bit here is the dot off the eye. So I'm just going to use that to turn it over. I'm going to put it there with the smallest little dab of glue you've ever seen in your entire life on it, because I don't want it to squeeze in this bottle. There we go. Right. Okay, now we're going to have to use our tweezers very carefully to get that off there. Did you hear me gasp? Let's get this onto here if we can, and then we're going to pop it. This is like an operation, isn't it? Goodness me. Let's just get that here. Can you see what I'm doing? It's so tiny. Let's just get that. I want to turn it actually a little bit so I can see a little bit better myself. There we go. That is perfect. Look at that. It does not get any better than that. Fabulous. Right, let's do the happy. Now the happy isn't cursive, unfortunately, so it is lots and lots of little pieces. So let's get these on first. Alright. Perfection. Okay, so those now can go on there. With a little bit more help from some stickies. So with these ones, because we know we're going straight across the centre, we could just put them onto the actual design. It goes all across the centre. Just want to take these off. Even if we get it wrong, we can take them off. It's quite good in that respect that we can do that. The whole time I'm just sort of referring to that picture that you can also see on the screen so that we know that we're in the right spot with stuff. So my little bit high on that for that little sunshine, but it's okay. There's our happy birthday straight across the centre. Now we've got the waves to go on next. These are the waves, and these are quite fiddly bits, but they look so good when they are on here. We've got to make sure we get the right way up. Get the right wave for the right bit. That looks like it's that one. That could well be that one. And then this one here is this one. They are all very slightly different. That's perfect. Got some glue stuck to the end of my finger. Again, let's just pop some glue on and glue these down. Okay, there we go, they are ready to go on, and they go at the bottom here. Just notice my screen's turned itself off. Just turn that back on. So these go at the bottom here, so I'm going to just glue these on now, I think. Shall I use a pad? Shall I? Yeah, go on then, why not? Let's put 2 pads on the back of here, quite close to that centre there. I love this. This is so cool. Right, and then the last piece we've got is the ring for rescuing people with. What do you call it? A life belt. Is that what it's called? Now, the problem I've got with this is that it's cut in all these tiny pieces, and what I should have probably done was turn this into a print then cut so it was flattened and a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to struggle, I think, to put this together, so I might have to change the plan on this one. I'm just going to cut that tiny bit of fuzz. I always call it fuzz because that's what it is. That hasn't quite cut perfectly there. How does it go together though? This is the thing. We might find it works perfectly well, but we might find it's very, very difficult. So let's just try, see if it comes out round. So this bit serves as a lesson to you to double check how your SVG or your image goes together, because you might want to change the way that it works. So as I said, I would probably have changed this to be a print then cut, and it would have probably worked out a little bit easier for me to assemble. It probably wouldn't have been quite as effective as a print then cut, because obviously I've used a nice glittery cardstock for the red, and it would have just been plain red print. But it depends how much time you have to devote to your craft, I think. Alright, so that's going to go together pretty well. So I know now that that's roughly how it goes. So what I'm going to do is get this, and I'm going to just use this to help me to assemble. So put a blob on here. So I've just put a blob of glue on there, and I'm just going to stick that onto here. And then I'm going to work my way around doing the same thing. I think I might even put the glue onto here, you know, because it's going to be easier to do it that way. Could I have overdone it? Potentially. Could I have made it difficult for myself? Yep, definitely. I'm just trying to save a little bit of time really with this. because I know that once I've stuck this on, I'm going to be able to move them around, because I know that I'm out with my offset a little bit here. This bit I'm not very happy with, but it should be okay. I'm too close to the edge on my very first piece is what's happened. So let's just move it out a touch. I know we're going to have a little bit of glue showing, but I think it's the only way to do it. So there we go, that is on. It looks pretty good, not too bad. Not as good as it would have been, but hey ho. Let's just get these sticky foamies on here again. We're nearly done now. Then this is our last bit to go on, and it's going to just sit at the bottom here. So there we go, there is our finished letter, all themed to be exactly like Kyle is when he's rescuing people from the swimming pool or on the beach. So I hope he's going to love this, I think he will, and I hope that you have enjoyed these videos. I think I'm going to have to split this into two because it's going to be quite long otherwise. I hope that you don't mind that. So thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see any more videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe. Drop me any questions or comments that you've got down below, and I always try to answer them as quickly as I can for you. And that's it really. So thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon for another one. Bye.